Never walk in Clarksville Historic District at night. This comes as a warning for anyone who is in the area or moves to Clarksville, Tennessee. Let me tell you how I found out why it's never a good idea to explore the historic district at night. A few years ago, when I lived in Clarksville, a large military town and one of the oldest cities in Tennessee, I decided to take a trip to my sister's apartment complex. She would always make me home-cooked food and buy me soda and snacks. She and I were best friends, and she knew my mother and I never really got along. That night, it wasn't anything too fancy, and the walk wasn't very far from the bus depot. I took the last bus because I have terrible social anxiety. All I could do was sit on the bus and wait for it to reach the depot. With music in my ears and thinking of my sister's homemade nachos, I calmly fell asleep. I woke up and immediately checked my phone. It only read 5:30 p.m., and yet it was pitch black outside. This may have been normal in the winter, but it was in the exact middle of summer. I put my phone to sleep and thought about this for a couple minutes. Grabbing my bag, I checked my phone again before turning the screen off. I panicked slightly, although I was more confused than anything. I saw that it was set to military time and now read 2200, which was downright impossible. My head became foggy as I fumbled to turn the screen off. A voice bellowed through the bus, asking me to leave as it was the last stop. This snapped me out of my delirium. I took another look outside, and the light was normal again. Must have been a dream, I thought to myself as I rubbed my eyes and shook my head. I jumped off the bus and headed towards the dollar store down the road, listening to the newest Red Hot Chili Peppers album as I walked. From then, I couldn't listen to Stadium Arcadium without feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. I was about to cross the street when I heard church bells ringing nearby, signifying it was 6 p.m. My music started to distort as the final bell rang. Hurting my ears, I quickly yanked the earbuds out and turned my phone off. I looked up from my phone, planning to cross the street again. That's when I smelled the foulest scent I'd ever smelled. The smell of rust and stagnant water was assaulting my nose, with a hint of ammonia for the final kick. I could feel a lump of vomit swelling in my throat. Holding it back, I swallowed the slurry down my throat and looked up. The same darkness from my dream became reality. It was like an endless void of no light, stars, cars, or even people. I heard what sounded like a large party. Music blared so loud it reverberated and echoed in the empty air and black night. Not knowing what came over me, I started walking towards the sound, curious but entranced. I couldn't stop moving. As I approached the area where the sound was coming from, the rhythm made it more enticing. I nearly lost control of my body and mind, as if I was being led on a leash into a back alley, leading to what looked to be a small nightclub. The smell knocked me out of the trance. It was then I saw them. Large, pale, no-eyed monsters with only a thin set of lips and a large maw smiled at me. I was terrified as they kept staring at me. No, they stared into me, as if my soul was being fetished. The smile stopped and I was waved in. I didn't want to go in, but I felt dread at the thought of declining. Inside this club, it was impossibly large. It felt as if there was no end in sight and no ceiling. Lights danced and twisted through a thin cloud of smoke. The smell was that of my sister's street tacos. How did this place know my favorite smell? Does this happen to everyone? I thought. I couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped. It was as if I had no other choice. Looking around, I saw twisted inhuman creatures, each as horrifying and equally grotesque as the last. Although I was frozen in fear, I could see they weren't paying any attention to me. I kept walking silently and low to not bring attention to myself. Finding the nearest booth, I sat down and covered my head in my hoodie and popped my earbuds in to drown out the music. I couldn't help feeling these things were watching me. It felt like a few days before something tapped my shoulder. I froze in fear. I did not want to move. It walked around and sat in the booth across from me. I didn't want to make eye contact. It then reached out and grabbed my hand firmly, slowly sinking its razor-sharp claws into it. I wrenched and watched as he kept digging into my hands. As soon as I made eye contact with the creature, it let go. I noticed that no blood ran down my hand. The wounds were healing. I felt no pain. I was still terrified as this thing laughed and told me to look around. Hundreds of blood-red eyes gazed upon me. Why am I here? What do you want? All I heard was a loud uproar from the group, except the thing in front of me. I was finally getting a good look. It looked much like the doorman. It had a large mouth, sharp teeth, and no other facial features, such as a nose or eyes. His skin was pale and cold. His breath smelled of ammonia and decaying flesh, wearing that looked to be a bowler hat and a suit with a gray tie. This thing let out a horrifying screech, silencing all the other guests, causing me to cover my ears in pain. I felt like I was going to implode. I then looked back at this thing. He opened his mouth and smiled. I then heard his voice in my head. Don't be frightened, child. You're but a guest in my domain. I welcome you. A wave of calm rushed through me. It felt familiar, but the unease was still there. I didn't even speak before he cut me off. No. I looked puzzled and asked, no what? He smiled, another toothy smile. I know what you are going to ask. I say no to save time. I can see your soul. It's different, but still easy to read. You're going to ask if I'm going to harm you, or something along those lines. Hence, my answer. Shocked, I thought, so you know what I'm going to say? Can you read minds? The creature smiled and laughed. No, I can see many futures based on the souls in my domain. I see, hear, and know all that goes on in here. All pasts, presents, and futures. An infinite set of timelines, winding and twisting. All of them I can read and change. But yours... He paused, pointing at me, waving his long finger. Your story is different. I can't edit your story or see your future more than a few seconds ahead. Who are you? I asked shakily. I am the owner and creator of the void. God's blind spot, sin, primal urges, and dark fantasies exist here. Some call me him. Others call me sin. My name is He Who Brought the Darkness. You, my friend, can call me Void. You see here, YouTube, I know you are watching us. Hearing this man's story unfold in front of you, does this entertain you? Does this frighten you? I looked at him in confusion. Who are you speaking to? I said, slightly under my breath. He then snapped his head at me.
I get my layers of fictional stories mixed up. I apologize. Where was I? Oh, yes. Right now, Tim, you're in God's blind spot. No one can harm you but me. If I wanted to, that is.
I asked nervously. I need to leave. My sister is waiting for me. Void let out a bullish laugh.
This place is outside and above the concepts of space and time, young man. No time would have passed, he sighed. You may leave. I got what I wanted out of you. Why don't you warn people of this place? It'll bring their stories to me. I'm starving for a good story.
He grinned as he looked into the sky. While this thing was looking into the air, he spoke.
Soon I will wreak havoc on the world above. Beg that I succeed, for I have seen the throne of God, and it is empty.
Everything turned black as the echoes of what he said reverberated in the never-ending void. I felt as if I was falling. But into what? I wasn't sure if there would be an end. I was then rocked by my sister screaming my name. Thank God you're awake! I've been worried sick! I was going to meet you at the bus stop. You looked like you were going to wake up, but went straight back to sleep when I called your name the first time. I can't seem to remember much after that. My brain isn't able to remember the rest of the weekend. It's as if there's a block. I got home without any issues. The thing I spoke to is still in my head, watching my every move.
I see you watching. Are you having fun? Tim brought you to me. Your story will be delicious. I can taste your fear. I can smell your salty breath. I know you can hear me. I can see you. Come closer. Look into the void. But remember, as you stare into the void stares back. Don't fight it. There's no reason. I am everywhere in all possible axes of imagination. Remember, I'm always watching, waiting for the next time you sleep. And remember as well.
Wait, what was it I was just talking about? Oh, yeah. This comes as a warning for anyone who is in the area or moves to Clarksville, Tennessee. Let me tell you how I found out why it's never a good idea to explore the historic district at night.